Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is David Novak. Today is December 29th, 2024. The news has come in that former U.S. President Jimmy Carter died today. The news was met by me with a small bit of relief. I was hoping, and I have to say that I think that President Jimmy Carter was a man who was prepared for death, but I was very happy that his death came under the current administration of Joe Biden instead of the administration to come. It might be thought that he died while yet the democracy remains intact. It is hard to say where the future developments will lead us, but at least I felt a breath of relief. So I'm going to read a poem written in his honor. And while normally on such an occasion I would forego any kind of personal anecdote, in this case a little bit is necessary, lest it seem kind of odd otherwise. Taking us back to the year 2002, when the poem was written. Well, actually, in the year 2000, I got sick. I became chronically ill, and the first couple of years of that were difficult for me. I have learned how to manage it in the years since. And for a portion of that time in the year 2002, I felt like I was going to die. It was not anything based on any kind of a diagnosis. I knew from what diagnosis that I had that death was very unlikely, but nevertheless, I was feeling pretty lousy. And that was a thought that had entered into my head. I was in the process of writing a book called Between Wakefulness and Sleep. And one of the tasks that bothered me in light of my imminent death, as I sort of thought it to be, was that I would not be around to write a poem in memoriam for President Carter. He was and remains probably the best president of my lifetime, and also the most good as a human being, and I would not denigrate his presidency in its political aspect either. So I did not want to leave that matter untouched. And in journalism, we are used to the fact the obituaries that run tomorrow or that have already been posted were probably composed years ago. And so I did something of the same, including the poem in my book, which I titled For President Carter. I think nowadays maybe I would consider changing the title to In Memoriam, something like that. I haven't looked at this for a long time, so let me stumble through as best as I can. For President Carter. Father in heaven, please receive unto thy palms this man of great integrity, to hold him to thy breast, that had been true in words and deeds made plain for all to see. From plains this man that had begun a farmer, that went on to become the president of these states only by the great alarmer defeated, yet who after office went on in his low-key manner to promote goodness and brotherhood throughout the world. A Christian man and not inclined to gloat, his work was tireless. As a plain man hurled onto the world stage, he did not shy away from crisis or from interposing himself into the midst, both willingly and with sincerity, to seek for closing. A man, it has been said, whose efforts as a private citizen, retired statesman, in wake of his elected term, surpass those as public official. It relates man, even beyond the process democratic, as inextricably linked. His great example, despite the world sometimes react fanatic, and men upon the greatest freedoms trample. He was not hostage unto circumstance, though as a human he remained heir to miscalculation, all the quirks of chance as have their play, as they are wont to do, remaining, even though with ridicule received for it, steadfast and principled in word and action, not, though called it, fool, whose reputation, as he aged, excelled, and even shall hereafter. Those that knew him suffer thus a great bereavement, know that only being unto good works true can man along so straight a pathway go. Attentive and accessible to hear the needs, concerns of brothers, and to be willing to act, as it were, interfere with all the status quo, whereby we see no need to interpose to make things better. Only thus, rolling up our sleeves to work, may we serve, both in spirit and in letter, our fellow man, nor Christian duty shirk. In deeds both big and small, thus Jimmy Carter has demonstrated that far-reaching love, rare and unique in a world where the barter predominates, determines man's each move. Showing goodwill in policy, but also less urgent matters, craft of verse and carving. He lived well, and by heaven's mercy fall so, after long life. We seem on earth here starving for such goodwill and true philanthropy, now that his corpse is laid into the sod. A man who loved his country, family, the family of mankind, and his God.